I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for your support. Hey y'all, it's Kay from the Literary Apothecary and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do my April wrap up and my May TBR, so stay tuned. There's a lot to talk about because in April I finished 11 published books, 3 beta reads, 1 graphic novel, and 1 essay. There were 7 5-star reads, 1 4.5 star, 2 4 stars, 2 3.5 stars. For a rough total of 5,425 pages. I finished all my prompts for the Keymark TBR Blitz Readathon for maximum points for 15 points. That was a fun readathon. So because there's so many books, so many reads, I'm going to go through these really quickly. I won't talk about the beta reads, but I will mention just briefly that I've created a profile on Fiverr, which is like this website where people go to hire for digital projects and stuff. I've created a beta reader profile there, so if you're an author and you need a beta reader, you can find me on Fiverr. I've got 3 different tiers of gigs, but we can also create our own. So come find me there. It's a great place to find new beta reads. Maybe one day I will jump up to an editor, but for now I'm just going to test the waters with beta reads. So to the reads that I actually read in April, I finished in April. This includes Night Watch by Terry Pratchett. This is one of the books in the City Watch series. I gave this one, of course, 5 out of 5 stars. So in Night Watch, Sam Vimes goes back in time. We get young Sam, young Colin, Nobby, Reg Stew before he was a zombie, Dibbler before he was Camille Throat Dibbler, and young Veterinary before he was the Patrician. And Sybil is, of course, in labor with their baby and is just absolutely fantastic. Our Joan Didion essay of the month was Los Angeles Notebook, and I wanted more about the Santa Ana winds. When she was writing about those, when I was reading about those, I was really interested but kind of bored throughout the rest of the essay, so we needed more about the winds. Moon Deeds by Palmer Pickering. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. This was supposed to be one of my Self-Pub Sunday episodes, but Palmer had an emergency come up with weather and we had to postpone it. We'll still have that sometime this year. Just got to find the right time for that. I loved the twin magic in this, the expansive world, which was full of vibrant and interesting characters, and I was hooked from the first chapter. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This was my patron pick of the month for March. I finished it in April. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. If you take Emily Marshwick from Guns of the Dawn with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norwell and A Natural History of Dragons, and you combine them all into one book, I feel like that's what you would get with the Encyclopedia of Fairies. I thought it was really great, a fun wit, and I can't wait to read more in that series. Conspirata by Robert Harris. This is the 2nd book in the Cicero trilogy. I gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. The beginning and the end were amazing, a spectacular ending, but the middle part kind of felt flatter than the beginning and the end for me, but Robert Harris's villains are absolutely incredible. So top-notch villains. You can't help but hate them when you read them. Welcome to the Jungle by Jim Butcher. This was the first graphic novel for the Dresden Files series. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely love everything about Dresden, and we'll talk about more about Dresden in a minute. I absolutely loved this. I love the Dresden Files, of course. I felt like this was a great graphic novel adaptation for this series. The Two-Faced Queen by Nick Martell. This is book 2 in the series. I can't remember the name of this series. The Mercenary Kings series, something like that. This one I gave 5 out of 5 stars. Even better than book 1. New favorite series by far. So many twists and turns in this, and I never wanted to stop reading. A Touch of Light by Tiago Abdallah. I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really wanted to love this, but my brain wasn't in the right headspace for it. I enjoyed it, but I also struggled. I loved each thread that we had, but I wanted them to come together sooner. And like I said, I just didn't have the right mind space for it, but so many people love it. And Tiago is going to be on Self-Pub Sundays tonight. By the time you see this, it's already happened, so I will link that in the description below. I can't wait to talk to him about it. We promised you a great main event, an unauthorized WWE history by Bill Handstock. This one I surprisingly gave 5 out of 5 stars. I was surprised with just how much I loved this. It was written by a fan who was not afraid to show their fandom, but also be brutally honest at the same time about the WWE business. I learned so much reading this book, and the illustrations were amazing. I will have a fun dedicated review coming for that soon. The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This one I also gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. This was my Patreon pick for April. I really enjoyed the historical thread that we had, but not so much the present day, so I had mixed feelings on those two threads. Stormfront by Jim Butcher. This is, of course, book 1 in the Dresden Files series, and y'all, I loved it so much. I loved everything about it, the pacing, the characters, the plot, they were all fantastic, and I think the Dresden Files is going to become another new favorite series. Thud by Terry Pratchett, the penultimate book in the City Watch series. The family thread in this book was amazing. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars, of course. It was heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. How far will Vimes go to make it in time to read to young Sam? That's part of the premise of this. It's so good. The Shadow Rising by Robert Jordan, I also gave 5 out of 5 stars. This is book 4 in the Wheel of Time series. This is, I think, my second favorite in the series so far, right after Great Hunt. So those are the reads that I finished in April. My carryover books will include Buzzard's Bowl by John Palladino. This is book 2 in the Tragedy of Sedan series, and I have the arc for this, and I am absolutely loving it. Middlemarch by George Eliot. This is supposed to be a read that's supposed to start in March and carry through to April, and Stephanie started it, but Tiffany and I didn't start it until April. I didn't start it until the very end of April, like a couple days ago, so it's carrying over into May, and hopefully I'll be able to finish it then. Storm of Swords, which is book 3 in the Song of Ice and Fire series by George R. R. Martin. I am really enjoying this series. Again, another favorite series of mine. I am enjoying this read so much. So then my May TBR will be part of course, the May the Force Read With You readathon that I'm a co-host for, along with Leslie and Eric and Annie. And I will link all their channels down in the description below. So as I go through books, I will talk about which prompts they fit. You can consider this now both my May TBR, but also my May the Force Read With You TBR. I might throw in some more books depending on how much I get through to get some more prompts in there. But this is, before I start on my TBR, let me just give a shout out to this, because this is the 3rd year that Eric's been doing the May the Force Read With You readathon. And this is my first year participating, my first year as a co-host, but it is so laid back and chill. Like, you don't have to report anything. There's no like specific teams that you have to follow. It's all honor based, and we just read and have fun, and I can't wait to be a part of this. So there's a Discord if you want to come join the fun. I will also link that in the description below also. So my May TBR includes The Fires of Heaven, book 5 in the Wheel of Time series, and this one is going to count for one of my abilities. This is the Drain Knowledge ability, which had to be, I think, like over 500 pages books, and it counts for 2 abilities. So, and I will, of course, need to finish that by the end of May for our live show, so that's a shoe-in for that one. A Feast for Crows, which is book 4 in the Song of Ice and Fire series. This is going to count as my memory walk ability. So A Feast for Crows will count for the memory walk ability. Read a book that came out 15 years ago. And these are all falling on the dark side. I'm joining the dark side this year. That's just how it is. So next up we have Wistful Ascending by J.C.M. Byrne. This is one of my self-pub books for May, and I'm super excited for this. This will be for my species prompt and the clone species sci-fi book or a title that starts and ends with the same letter. So Wistful Ascending is a science fiction book by J.C.M. Byrne. I am super excited for that read. Everyone I've talked to has loved that book, so I've been wanting to read that for a long time. And J.C.M. Byrne will be on the Self Pub Sunday episode on May 21st, so tune in for that too. Next up we have Thy Father's Glass by Jeff Harrison. This is my other Self Pub book for May. Jeff will be on Self Pub Sundays on May 7th, and this will be one of my weapons. So this will count for my blaster's weapon, and that's going to be read a book in a different spot every time you pick it up to read it. And I'm going to be reading that this week to prepare for next Sunday's episode, and I will be in Asheville, so I will be reading it in Asheville. I'll be reading it at home probably, and it's a short book, so I feel like this is a great prompt for that book. Next up we have Symphony of Secrets, which is my patron pick of the month for May. Leslie at the Nerdy Narrative won our patron Wheel of Patrons. She chose this book, and there happens to be an ability prompt. Transfer essence, read a book off of someone else's TBR. Leslie literally just picked it off of her TBR and gave it to me, so that fits perfectly there. Of course, we've got our Joan Didion essay of the month, Goodbye to All That, which rounds out Slouching Towards Bethlehem. It's been agreed by Leslie and Stacy that we're going to keep going in We Tell Ourselves Stories in Order to Live and continue on until people get sick of it. So we've got that going. Snuff by Terry Pratchett, which is the last book in the City Watch series, and once I'm done with that, I'll have a live show with Derry at Derry's Read It Before and talk all about the City Watch and Terry Pratchett. That will fit under my Force Lightning abilities. Read a book you're shocked you haven't read yet. Because I love the City Watch series so much and I love Terry Pratchett's reading, every time I read one of his books, I'm shocked that I haven't read these sooner. Voyage of the Forgotten was a last minute ad. This is the third and final book in the Mercenary Kings trilogy by Nick Martell, and I have to read it. I have to find out how it ends. This will count towards my partner's prompts. This will be my droid prompt, which is read a book with no people on the cover, and it's got no people, so that works. We've got the Fires to Have and A Feast for Crows were also part of my Books My Boyfriend Gave Me series. We also have this new book, Can Holding in a Fart Kill You? It's a whole bunch of curious questions and answers, and it'll be a fun read. It'll be a fun review to do. And if I can get it in May, it will count for another weapons prompt, my lightsabers prompt. Look at a color wheel, read a book with the opposite of your favorite color. So I think my favorite color is blue, and opposite of that on the color wheel that I saw was like a yellow, and this is like a really light yellow, beige kind of color, so I counted that as that whole thing. And then we have Full Moon, which is the next book in the Dresden series, along with Ghoul Goblin, which is the next graphic novel, and B is for Bigfoot, which is the next short story in the Dresden series. So that's my long May TBR. Hopefully I can get through everything. Yeah, we'll see. Let me know in the comments below what books on my TBR in May are you most excited for me to read? What books do you want to buddy read with me? Let me know in the comments below. Also, what was your favorite read from April, and what are you looking forward to reading the most in May? As always, my Patreon and my Discord information will be in the description below. Keep reading, and I love y'all to the moon and back. Bye.